In the last class, we have started with the fourth module. So in that we have discussed the overview of uplink transport channel processing. So in the uplink channel processing, there are mainly two distinct steps. Can anyone tell what are the two steps? Can anyone? The two distinct steps are channel coding processing and modulation processing. So in the channel coding processing, what are the elements? Can anyone specify the elements of channel coding processing? There are five elements. Can anyone specify? So the components of the channel coding processing are CRC addition, code block segmentation, channel coding, rate matching, and code block concatenation. So in the modulation processing also we have five basic elements, that is scrambling, modulation mapping or mapper, DFT based pre-coding, resource mapping, and SEFPMA signal generation. So next we have discussed the channel coding processing and modulation processing, and we have discussed the uplink shared channels. So in that we have discussed the channel encoding and modulation. So today we'll start with the frequency hopping. So here in the resource mapper maps the complex valued modulation symbols in the sequence to the physical resource blocks which are assigned for the transmission of PUSCH channels. So here in the LTE only the localized resource allocations is supported in the uplink due to the robustness of the frequency offset compared to the distributed resource allocation. So here in the frequency hopping, the localized resource allocations also retains the single carrier property in the uplink transmission. So here as a consequence, there is a very little frequency diversity gain. So here in the downlink, it is possible to allocate disjoint sets of resource blocks to the user equipment to extract some frequency diversity gain. So here the LTE supports frequency hopping on the PUSCH, which will provide the additional frequency diversity gain in the uplink. So here the frequency hopping can also provide the interference averaging when the system is not 100% loaded. So here in the LTE, both the interframe and intersubframe and intersubframe, intra and intersubframe frequency hopping are supported. So here in the intra-subframe hopping, so the user equipment hops to the another frequency allocation from one slot to the another within the same subframe. So as well as in the inter-subframe hopping, so the frequency resource allocation changes from one subframe to the another. So here in the frequency hopping, the higher layers will determine if the hopping is inter-subframe or intra and inter-subframe. So here in general, the intra-subframe hopping provides the higher frequency diversity gain, since this gain can be extracted over a single HARQ transmission. So which is always spans only one subframe. So here in this case, the inter subframe hopping, the multiple HARQ transmissions are needed in order to extract the same frequency diversity gain. So here, if the single bit hopping, there is a frequency hopping field in the corresponding PDCCH with the DCI format 0 is set to 1. Sorry for the inconvenience. So here, if the single bit frequency hopping field in the corresponding PDCCH with the DCI format 0 is set to 1. So here, the user equipment shall perform the PUSH frequency hopping. Otherwise, no PUSH frequency hopping is performed. So here in the no frequency hopping, that is FH is equal to 1. So here, if the uplink frequency hopping disabled, that is FH is equal to 0. Here the set of the physical resource blocks to be used for the retransmission. So the user for the transmission is given by, that is NPRB is equal to NVRB. So here where NVRB is the virtual resource block index obtained from the uplink scheduling grant. So in the frequency hopping, so here if the uplink frequency hopping that is enabled, so FH is equal to 1. So there are two frequency hopping types. So type 1 hopping, which is used as an explicit offset in the second plot, so which is determined by the parameters in the DCI format 0. So here in the type 2 hopping, so the set of physical resource blocks are used for the transmission is given by the scheduling grant together with a predefined hopping pattern. So here the user equipment first determines the allocated resource blocks after applying all the frequency hopping rules, and then the data is mapped onto these resources. So this is about the frequency hopping. So next we have multi-antenna transmission. So here considering the cost and complexity of the user equipment, so here LTE only supports a limited number of multi-antenna transmission schemes in the uplink. So here in the multi-antenna transmission, considering the cost and complexity of the user equipment, so here LTE only supports a limited number of multi-antenna transmission schemes in the uplink channel. So in that we have first we have transmit antenna section, and the second one is multi-user MIMO, that is MU-MIMO. So in the transmit antenna section with two or more transmit antennas at the user equipment, so here the transmit antenna selection can be applied, so which is able to provide the spatial diversity gain. So the multi-antenna transmission at the user equipment depends on the signaling from the higher layers. So in that we have no antenna section. So here in the no antenna section, if the transmit antenna selection is disabled or not supported by the user equipment, So here the user equipment shall transmit from the antenna port 0. So here what will happen in the no antenna section? So here if the transmit antenna section is disabled or not supported by the user equipment, so the user equipment shall transmit from the antenna port 0. So next we have a closed loop antenna section, that is a CL antenna section. So here if the closed loop user equipment transmit antenna section is selection is enabled by the higher layers, so here the UE shall perform the transmit antenna section in response to the commands received via DCI format 0 and from the E node B. So here if the CL UE transmit antenna selection is enabled by the higher layers, so here the user equipment, that is the UE, shall perform the transmit antenna selection in response to commands received via DCI format 0 or from the E node B. So next we have open loop antenna selection. So here in the open loop antenna selection in the OL user equipment, so here if the OL user equipment transmit antenna selection is enabled by the higher layers, so here the transmit antenna to be selected by the user equipment is not specified. So although in this mode there is no closed loop feedback from the E node B, so here the UE can determine the optimum antenna based on the HIRQ, that is ACKR NAK feedbacks. So here in the OL, so the user equipment can transmit from antenna port 0 for some time instance and then switch to the antenna port 1 for the next time instance. So during both of these time instances, the UE also monitors the HIRQ, that is the ACKR NAK ratio. So here if the ACK or NAK ratio is in the time instance when antenna port 0 was used is less than the ACK or NAK ratio for the time instance when the antenna port 1 was used. So then clearly the antenna port 1 is better choice and the vice versa. So this is about the open loop antenna selection. So next we have MU MIMO in the uplink. So here it is supported in the uplink, so which is also referred to as a virtual MIMO transmission. So here two user equipments transmit simultaneously on the same radio resource, forming a virtual MIMO channel, and the E node we will separate the data streams for the each user equipment. So here it will support the uplink, which is also referred as virtual MIMO transmission. So here the two user equipments transmit simultaneously on the same radio resource, forming a virtual MIMO channel at the E node B, which will separate the data streams for the each user equipment. So here for the example, using the multi-user direction. So here in this transmission mode provides a spatial multiplexing gain to increase the uplink spectrum efficiency even with the single antenna user equipments. So here the MU-MIMO mode mainly affects the operation at E node B as the channel quality indicator, that is CQI indicator calculation and the scheduling process will change due to the interaction between the data streams for the different user equipments. So the MU-MIMO mode will mainly affect the operation at the E node B, as the CQI calculation and the scheduling process will change due to the interaction between the data streams for the different user equipments. So here, as the E node B can estimate the channel information from the uplink reference signal, so it is capable of performing the CQI calculation and scheduling without further feedback from the user equipments. So which will make it easier to implement the MU-MIMO in the uplink than in the downlink channels. So here for the E node Bs, so to differentiate and demodulate the signals from the two user equipments, so here the orthogonal reference signals are assigned for the each of them. So here it is MIMO, MU-MIMO is easier for the implementation in the uplink. So this is about MU-MIMO. So everyone clear with this frequency hopping and multi-antenna transmissions? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ? Understood or not? ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ? No one has understood? So next we have uplink control information. So here in the uplink control information is to assist the physical layer procedures by providing the following types of physical layer control information. So in that we have first downlink CQI. So here it is used to assist the adaptive modulation and coding and the channel dependent scheduling of the downlink transmission. So here the CQI indicates the highest modulation and the coding rate that can be supported in the downlink with 10% black error rate on the first HARQ transmission. So here the downlink CQI is used to assist the adaptive modulation and coding and the channel dependent scheduling of the downlink transmission. So here the CQI indicates the highest modulation and coding rate that can be supported in the downlink with 100% black error rate on the first HARQ transmission. So here next we have HARQ acknowledgement, that is HARQ ACK, so which is associated with the downlink HARQ process. So next we have scheduling request, that is SR, which is used to request the radio resource for the uplink transmission. So next we have a pre-coding matrix indicator, that is PMI, and rank indicator RI for the downlink MIMO transmission. So here the RI indicates the maximum number of layers that can be used for the spatial multiplexing in the downlink. So while the PMI indicates the preferred pre-coding matrix. So here the channel mapping for the control information in the uplink is shown in this figure. So here we have the control information which includes the UCI channel. So here we have physical channels. Physical channels are PUCCH and PUSCH. So here, unlike the downlink which has three different physical control channels, so here there is only one physical control channel defined for the UCI. So here the PU defined for UCI in the PUCCH. So here the UCI can also be mapped onto the PUSCH in the user equipment, and the UE has been assigned uplink radio resources. So here when this happens, so the UCI is frequency multiplexed with the ULSCH data on the PUSCH unless the PUSCH carries a random access response grant or retransmission as the part of the contention based random access procedure. So here when the user equipment does not have uplink allocation on the PUSCH, so here the UCI is transmitted on the PUCCH in the in the specifically assigned radio resource. So here in this section, so the channel coding processing for the UCI, which will depend on whether it is transmitted on the PUCCH or PUSCH, and then the modulation and the resource mapping for the UCI are used. So next we have channel coding for the uplink information. So here the channel coding for the UCI. Therefore, it will depend on whether it is carried on the PUCCH or PUSCH channels. So here the different types of control information are encoded differently, which will allows the individual adjustments of the transmission energy using the different coding rates. So in that we have first we have UCI on PUCCH. So here when the UCI is transmitted on the PUCCH, so three channel coding scenarios are considered. So the first one is the UCI constraints CQI or PMI, but not the HARQ ACK. So the second one is the UCI will contains the HARQ ACK or the SR, but not the CQI and CQI or PMI. So the third one is the UCI contains both the CQI and CQI or PMI and the HARQ ACK. So here the channel coding processing for the each of these are discussed. So here the encoding of CQI or PMI. So here the CQI or PMI is encoded using a code that is with the code word being linear combination of the 13 basis sequence that are defined in this table. So here NCQI is the number of CQI and PMI bits, which is so here denote AI comma AI where is 1 to NCQI as the input channel quality bits. So and the encoded is performed as So here we have considered 3 scenarios. So that is first one is UCI contains CQI or PMI but not the HIRQ. HIRQ ACK. So here second scenario we have it will contain that is HIRQ, ACK or SR but not CPM, but not CQI or PMI. So in the third scenario it contain both, that is CQI, PMI and HIRQ, ACK. So in that we have encoding CPI or PMI. So using A is equal to, that is 20 comma NCQI, which the code word being the combination of 13 basis sequence. So 13 basis sequence. So that are so here NCQI is number of bits in CQI and PMI. So here we can denote that is AI, where I is equal to 1 to NCQI. So the input channel quality bits and the encoding is performed as, that is BI is equal to, encoding is performed as BI is equal to summation of N is equal to 0 to NCQI So an data capital MI n into mod 2 into mod 2, so where I is equal to 0 to 19. Because here we are using sequence as 20, so that will tends to 0 to 19. So next we have encoding HARQ, ACK and SR. So here the HARQ, ACK bits and the SR indication are received from the higher layers. So here each positive acknowledgement is encoded as binary 1. So while each negative acknowledgement is encoded as binary 0. So here the HARQ, ACK bits are and SR indication are received from the higher layers. So each positive acknowledgement is encoded as binary 1 and negative acknowledgement is encoded as binary 0. So here there is one HARQ ACK bit for single code word transmission and two HARQ ACK bits for the two code word transmission, that is spatial multiplexing. So similarly we have encoding CQI or PMI plus HARQ ACK. So here when the CQI and or PMI and HARQ ACK are transmitted in the same subframe, so here the following coding schemes are used. So with the normal CP and with the extended CP. So here with the normal CP, so the CQI or PMI is encoded using the 20, NCQI code, and then the HARQ ACK bits are added to the end of the resulting code word. So here with the extended CP, so here the CQI or PMI and HARQ ACK are jointly encoded using the same 20, N code for the as that of the encoding CQI and PMI are alone. So here with N as the sum of the CQI or PMI bits and HARQ ACK bits. So here based on different types of the control information carried onto the PUSCH. So there are 6 different PUCCH formats defined in the LTA. So which is shown in this table. So the PCSS formats are 1, 1A, 1B, 2, 2A, 2B. So here the parameter that is M bit is the number of encoded bits for the each PUCCH format, which can be easily inferred from the channel coding scheme. So here this table indicates the supported PUCCH formats. So here the PUCCH format 1, the contents were scheduling request, that is SR. So M bit are not applicable. So for the PUCHS format 1A, so we have the contents, that is HARQ acknowledgement and HARQ acknowledgement plus scheduling request. So here the number of bits you are using is 1. So here for the PUCCH format 1B, we have the contents, that is HARQ acknowledgement and HARQ acknowledgement plus scheduling request. So here the M bits are 2. So here the format PUCCH format 2, we have CQI or PMI or the RI, and we have CQI or PMI or RI plus HARQ ACK, which are used in the extended CP. So here the M bits are 20 bits. So next we have a PUCCH format, that is 2A. So here the contents are CQI or PMI or RI plus HARQ ACK with the normal CP. So here the M bits are 21 bits. So for the 2B PUCCH format, we have the contents, that is CQI, PMI or RI and HARQ plus HARQ ACK with the normal CP. So M bits are 22. So here for the example, if the UCI carries the CQI or PMI only, so or carries the CQI and PMI and the HARQ acknowledgement with the extended CP. So here the 20, NCQ is encoded, is applied. So there are 20 code bits corresponding to the PUCCH format 2. So here the scheduling request is carried by the presence or absence of the transmission of PUCCH from the user equipment. So there is no extra bits. So this is about the channel encoding for the uplink information in the UCI or PUCCH. So next we have UCI and PUSCH with ULSCH data. So here if there is uplink radio resource assigned to the user equipment, so here the UCI can be multiplexed with the ULSCH data on the PUSCH channel, and there is no need to send the scheduling request. So here in this case the channel coding for the HARQ acknowledgement, RI and CQI or PMI is done independently. So here the different coding rates can be achieved by the allocating the different number of code symbols depending on the amount of the allocated radio resources. So here we have coding for HARQ ACK. So here for the FDD mode, so there is 1 or 2 HARQ acknowledgement bits. So here for the TDD mode, 2 ACK or acknowledgement and non-acknowledgement feedback modes are supported with the different information bits. So here for the ACK and non-NAK building, so bundling, so which consists of 1 or 2 bits of transmission. So here for the ACK or NAK multiplexing, which consists of between 1 and 4 bits of information. So here as the number of HARQ ACK bits. So for the N HARQ is equal to 1 or 2. So then the HARQ ACK bits are first encoded into the NHARQ QM bits code word with the encoded specific the encoding which is specified. So where QM is the modulation order, and which is equal to the 2 for the QPSK and 4 for the 16 QM and 6 for the 64 QM. So here what we have is so here N HARQ denote this HARQ as the number of H ARQ ACK bits. So here for N HARQ is equal to 1 or 2. So here the NACK bits, NHRQ ACK bits first encoded with NH ARQ into QM bit code word. So where QM is the modulation order is equal. So here QM is modulation order. QM is modulation order. So here 2 for QPSK. So the order 2 for the QPSK, 4 for 16 QAM, 6 for 64 QAM. So here for the both FTD and TDD, so here acknowledgement and ACK and NAK multiplexing with so NAK and ACK are multiplexing with, that is NHARQ is less than or equal to 2. So here the output sequence from the channel encoder is obtained by concatenating the multiple encoded HARQ ACK blocks. So here for the TDD, it is the ACK or NAK bundling. So the output sequence from the channel encoder is obtained by the scrambling the concatenation of the multiple encoded HARQ ACK blocks with the specified some scrambling sequence. So here for the TDD with the ACK or NAK multiplexing with the NHARQ is greater than 2. So here the HARQ ACK bits are encoded using the linear combination of a set of basic sequences. So this is of coding of HARQ ACK. So next we have coding for RI and coding for CQI and PMI. So that we'll continue in the next class. So everyone clear with today's class? Do you have any doubts?